How about now?
All right.
Can you hear anything now?
Hello? Hello? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Proceed, sorry.
So a few days after the presentation, you will be emailed a link to the recording and an evaluation form to provide feedback. So this is the evaluation form, and we would really appreciate it. Each one of you have it on your chair. If you can fill it up and give it to us before you leave. That way, we will be able to plan our next event depending on what you have asked, requested. So, so there is also a soil blocking handout. There is the Stand With Your Arboretum list of all our seminars coming up. There is the program evaluation form, which we would need. And then there is another New York Times article about soil blocking. In addition, the nursery shop we have over there is open on Saturday and Sunday from 12 to 3 p.m. You could go there and get some plants for your garden. They accept credit, debit, and Apple Pay. We take no cash, please. Also, there are a few demonstration gardens around, which is maintained by the volunteers here. There is the Rose Garden, the Sun and Shade Garden, Hummingbird Garden, the gorgeous Victorian Garden out there with the fountain, and our latest addition, the Fairy Garden. There might be some more gardens that I've forgotten. I don't know. All right. The society also has this gorgeous pump house. It's called the Coal Pump House, and if you ever want to rent it out for any of your events, feel free to talk to Kevin. Okay, then we have many pamphlets. This is our brick tribute pamphlet. If you want to make a brick in the name of your dog or your whatever. Anyway, and this is a membership form. This is a newsletter that we have. And of course, we are always willing to accept donation in the form of monetary as well as kind. You have plants that you don't want at home, too many, please come and give it to us. We are always accepting, and we redo them and then we sell them again. So now we have our wonderful master gardeners here, and they will be doing a soil blocking. I've never done it, that's why I called them, hey, come and show me how to do it. Anyway, so we have Richard Busacker, biography. Having been introduced to gardening by his grandfather at age 10, Richard graduated as a UC Master Gardener class of 2024. He supports the Public Education Committee's development of programming. He has supported the development of specialized soil blocking and container gardening classes. We then have the other young lady, Susan Houston. And her biography is, Susan became a master gardener in 2024 after a career in aging services. Before retiring, Susan and her organization partnered with the UC Master Gardener program to create a demonstration garden in Redwood City. The garden provides hands-on education and fresh produce to older adults at the community center. Susan's interests include native plants, soil blocking, container gardening, and gardening with underserved population. Susan is fluent in Spanish. And then we have the other young lady, Debra Skorupka. All right. Her biography, Debra is a UC Master Gardener since 2024. In her career, she has had the opportunity to assist with the operational aspects of greenhouse and open air farm, seed research, and growing operations. Wow. Okay, as a lifelong gardener, she enjoys experimenting with herbs and vegetables, propagating, growing, and seed saving. She also proudly supports the Master Gardener Membership Committee and Operation Team. Well, thank you so much for coming, and I will give this over to you.
PowerPoint, please.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to start with a PowerPoint presentation. It's about 12 slides or so, and we're going to go through all of that. And then we will do a demonstration here. And after that, we will take questions. And then after all of that, you'll have an opportunity, if you'd like to try hands-on. We've got some set up here, which you can use, and we've got some set up in the back room there also. So let's see. So this is why soil blocking. One reason is because it's sustainable. We don't use plastic containers or even peat moss containers to start our seedlings. Whatever we use is the soil that we've created and put into the and the blocks that we've created, and so it's all earth friendly. So
And here,
okay,
Zoomers can see it.
okay.
That's good, thanks.
All right, so it's also simple and easy. It's easier to control the soil moisture. It's easier to up pot, meaning go from a smaller block to a larger block. It's easier to transport, and it's easy to plant. The soil just basically goes straight into your garden. It also leads to stronger seedlings, better root branching, which anchors the seeds better. Roots are air pruned and not root bound. You can see in the picture here that the roots basically go to the edge, and then once it hits the air, it stops growing, or it grows into another direction. And the seedlings mature faster. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Okay, so our materials: thin gloves, the soil mix that you see here, a large tub with high sides. Ideally, we want the tub to be a flat surface too, and that'll become the reason why will become evident pretty soon. The soil blocking tools, such as this. Also a paint scraper, and that's basically to even off the bottom of your soil blocks. And seeds, of course, a spray bottle for water, and a shallow tray such as this one here, some newspaper, a transparent top, and water, of course. I'm going to turn this over to Deborah. Oh, sorry, Susan.
So, really important to have the right soil for soil blocking. You can use a potty mix. We wanted to create our own because we did not want to use peat moss because peat moss is not sustainable. So the optimum soil recipe has good proportions of coconut coir or ligna peat, which is made out of redwood bark, compost, soil and sand or perlite, which will hold together when moist. We use the squeeze test to see how wet it is, and it should have 3 to 5 drops. So this is looking pretty good. So we know that we have enough water in here, but not too much water. But you can always add more soil if it's, too wet, or more water if it's too dry, whatever. It's really good to experiment yourselves to find a recipe that works for you. You could go to a landscaping place and try different soils. For us, we use 1 part seed starter mix, half a part of coconut coir, but we use ligna peat in this one, and then a half part of organic compost.
And I'll add that one of the reasons that we use that sort of mixture is because we're going for a mixture that will hold together once it's forced into the blocks. And it also provides some nutrition and moisture retention.
So to prepare the soil mix, we have a screen here that Deborah built. And so with the compost, sometimes you get larger pieces. I think we got rid of most of them in here, but you can sift the soil through a 1/4 inch or 8-inch screen to remove the larger pieces because it would be hard to fit them into the soil block. You water the soil mix until moist, but not really wet. And then you should give it like 20 minutes to get ready before you start soil blocking. So it really saturates the soil. Test, as I just showed you, for moisture adherence to soil by squeezing it. And then place your prepared soil mixture in a deep tray. We have that here, so you can get ready. To start soil blocking, you're going to line the tray for soil blocking with a few layers of newspaper, or Debra used cardboard over on her soil blocks that are just look beautiful. They're doing really great. Spray the liner with water until it's moist but not really wet. Push the soil blocking tool into the soil mix, pressing, and it's always, you have to use elbow grease. You really want it firm in there, so that the blocks will stick together while they're germinating.
You want military corners.
They're very good. Military corners. Fill the blocking tool completely and tightly. Remove any excess soil using the paint scraper, or you could just use your hand. You don't really need the paint scraper, but it looks nice. The block should have a smooth, flat bottom, so it'll stay straight in the tray. And then you press out the soil blocks into the line germinating tray. And you want to keep them kind of close so that, if they're closer together, they won't get dry as fast. So it's good to have them pretty close. The blocks should hold together firmly with smooth sides and no crumbled corners. If not, start again. And, I tried it a couple times. I had some crumbly corners this morning, so I tried until I got it right.
Yeah. All right. So planting into soil blocks. So we want to have, so as Susan talked about, right, that moisture in there, so that you can just squeeze it. One is because you get that couple drops of water that's coming out of that. And two, you can start to see, right, even in your hand, it's starting to be able to form a clump, right? So when it gets into that soil blocker, it's gonna hold together. Okay. And so once you make those soil blocks, and we'll do a demonstration in a minute, we'll walk through the materials in the slides, and then we'll come back and we'll make those soil blocks with you. And we'll get the bigger camera on that as well. So, first what we want to do when you have those soil blocks, then we're going to wet down the newspaper in your line tray. So as Susan mentioned, right, this tray doesn't have holes in it. So this, because your water will fall through. So we actually want a tray without the holes in it. And then the newspaper is in there, and that newspaper also we want to wet. So there's going to be a theme here. So we're wetting the soil, we're wetting the newspaper. Later, we're going to sprinkle some stuff on top. We're going to wet that also, so that all of that environment, we've got a consistent moisture level for the seeds to germinate in there.
Right, and the moisture helps to trigger the germination process too.
Yes, absolutely. And so once we go through that, so you've got the soil block, and then we're going to go through with that blocker and then place the seeds on top of each one of those blocks. We're going to read the instructions on the back of that seed packet. Is one of the best ways in order to know how deep do I want to plant these seeds, when am I going to expect those seeds to come up and such. And then with those blocks in there, we're going to add on top, and Susan from Fair Oaks, they have made these, which is great. How many soil blocks would you say you make a year for planting?
Oh my God. Well,
at Fair Oaks, yeah.
We do about 12 a day during our, 12 of these trays a day during our Friday volunteer day. So, and only during planting season, but we have several different planting seasons, so I don't know.
So several hundreds.
Yeah, hundreds.
Which is wonderful.
And from that, we've grown over 1,200 vegetables to give out to people in the community just in the last 6 months. So it really works. It just shows it works.
And so then on top of it, right, to keep that moisture in, what we've done is create a little bit of a greenhouse. So this has, in this case, duct tape and plastic wrap, which works just great. And then that will go right on top as that's germinating to help keep that moisture level inside your little mini greenhouse as those blocks are inside of that. So then, as we, going over here, and then let me talk as well, while the seeds are germinating, right, they actually don't need light. They don't need sunshine because the seed is under the ground still. So what you can do is place that in a location that's a little bit warmer, maybe protected a little bit from the wind to help that out from a temperature perspective to get that seed going. And I can show you as well here is that we have one thing that I have found where I live, it's a little bit more, a little bit cooler and I don't have sun right now. So as the sun keeps coming up and the days get longer, then I have more sun in my yard. But what I do also is set it down on a heat mat, which is optional. You don't need that. It works well for me. I have a shelf where I put these on and the heat mat is there. And it just has a consistent temperature during the day and night while it's germinating. And so these, for example, right, so then as they go, so these will have the blocks in there, and you've got your whole tray will start to come up from in there. Okay.
And then once they germinate, you remove this, so the sun will.
And then you've got your sun. Yep. And then you start with the light. So also what helps, and you'll notice on those containers, we've put on there some masking tape, so labeling, of course, what they are, so you remember. Really important. I did not put the date on these particular ones, so also put that date. Don't do that, so that you remember when those seeds were sown, and then you can start to watch and see how much time it takes for those to pop up. We've noticed in that the seeds do tend to germinate. I have noticed anecdotally quicker than I think other methods, and just between that, I think that consistent moisture and the air coming through there, it's really giving us some really good strong plants to start off with.
Kevin, I'm not able to advance the slide with the clicker here.
No.
There, okay.
All right, great. Okay, and then from a transplanting perspective, so we're going to transplant those soil blocks into the ground when that risk of frost and your ground has started to warm up. Then you can plant those outside right into the ground. You can also plant that right into a bigger pot as well. I also, I know Rich and I do a lot of container gardening in our yards. So that's something that you can plant right into bigger containers and be ready to go. These seedlings here, I think we'll wait another couple of weeks. We'll keep them under kind of nice temperatures, a little bit of light and things like that, and then we'll get them outdoors in a couple of weeks for those. But you can see, as Rich had noticed before, or had talked about before too, that air pruning, as those roots come out, you actually get a much more dense root ball, which is really great. Okay. And let's see, for the last one, for the taller plants like the tomatoes, if you would like to as well, so some of these are taken off real quick. Tomatoes love being deeper in the ground. You could pinch off some of the top, and as that takes root. Okay, well, let's go in. Let's take a look at the actual soil blocking from a demonstration perspective here.
Want to stop the share?
Yeah, I think that'll be great. Thank you. And we'll see if folks are able to see here. Okay, good. So here are our different soil blocks. So this one is 2 inches by 2 inches. This one is about 3/4 inch by 3/4 of an inch, right? So different tools. There also are some that are 4 inches by 4 inches, so they get pretty big. There are some that they sell where you can actually make those soil blocks with your foot as well. You're kind of pushing down on them as well. So if you really would like to make some big ones, there are some tools out there
That's
that
for your coconut trees, right?
Yeah,
yes, right. And so what we'll do then, right, is, and then inside here, we have little, these are called dibbles. And they have inserts inside that pop out. Okay. And so if you'll notice, and we have 2 different sizes of the dibbles that are inserted in. So this one has these larger squares, and then this one has more of an indentation that it will leave in the top.
Really, so you can plant just the seeds directly into the block. Whereas the bigger dibbles there are designed so that you can go from this size block
And then
to
insert it.
directly into a larger soil block. And then from there into your coconut holder or your,
Yes.
or to the ground.
However, in Fair Oaks, where we have our garden, we use this one almost always with this size dibble.
I don't think it came on Zoom.
Oh, great. So here's the small, yep, here's the smaller one here. And then for the folks online, you can see that, as Rich mentioned, the inside dimensions of this right here, and we'll make a block and we'll show you in a moment, is actually the same size as the insert here. So you could start off with a lettuce seed or something that's quite small if you want a smaller block. They're harder to handle, so they are more delicate because they are smaller. You need to make sure you're sifted out kind of bigger pieces and such in there. But then you pop, once you have this one that starts growing, you can pop it right inside of that next one.
But you don't need to.
But you do not need to, yes.
Do you want me to do the demo now?
Yeah, you want to jump right on in?
Sure. So as mentioning, we spray the newspaper. Oh, it was dripping in the car, so.
Yeah.
So as mentioned, you don't want it really, really wet, but you want it, pretty wet.
One of the advantages of the newspaper or the cardboard is that that as it dries out, it tells you when it needs to be rewatered. And when you water, you don't want to water from the top like you would if your plants were in the ground. You want to water it from the bottom. So you may take your water source and just pour it in the corner or along the edges of your planting tray here.
So with the soil blocker, you want to, as I mentioned earlier, you really want to use some elbow grease. You want to make sure that it's full and very firm in there, so you can feel to see how it's going. So I think I need a little bit more on this end.
Are the edges sharp on those? It looks like stainless steel.
Yeah, pretty sharp. There's squares, yeah. And then I'll do the paint scraper since we have it. Paint scrape it down so it's level. And then what you do is you pull up with your fingers and push down with your thumbs.
Could you move that down? How do it?
That way you can see.
And I'm going to do a second row too, so you see how close we put them together.
One thing, it's a little hard to see probably from where you're sitting or from through the camera, but that you can see the little divots in the top of each one of the blocks there, and that is intentional.
Oops. That one looks pretty good. Okay, so right next to the other one, not touching, but pretty close.
And what we've noticed with our master gardeners that these do tend to dry out faster than, of course, if you have seedlings in those plastic pots that you might get, at a gardening store or such, that they come in. So you do want to watch, that water level, because they don't have a layer of plastic all the way around them holding that water in. So, part of the beauty, but then also part of, you just have to watch it a little bit and take a look and see when it dries out.
You can see nice firm military corners there.
And so the next step would be to spray the top gently. Doing that.
There we go.
And then we put in the seed, one seed per soil block.
Yep.
You can tell them what seed it is.
I am doing cilantro, and I pick cilantro because it's easy to handle. Some of the really small seeds are very hard to get just one in. So we learned if you moisten the chopstick and put the chopstick in the seed packet, then you have it's easier, like lettuce or bok choy. Bok choy is really small. So then we spray again right there, right where the seed is in each one. Help with the
Again, this is
germination.
to moisten the seed, yeah.
And then we put some dry soil on top of each one to cover the hole.
And it's just simply that dry soil. If we use the wet soil, we may just end up with huge clumps on top. We'd just be dropping chunks of soil on top. So the dry soil just lets you control a little bit at the stage of how much is going on top. You could certainly sprinkle your, your wet
And
soil
I
there
think
too,
that's
but
a really good point too. that
Yeah.
it's just
Yes.
that you don't want to keep the seed from really germinating well.
Mhm.
And then we're gonna spray again.
Make it do it pretty well. Yeah. But you don't want to disturb the block. You want to, you're gentle with the water, so you're not disturbing the block, but you really want the seed to be moist, to be
Yeah,
wet.
you're moistening that dry soil that you placed on top of the seeds there. There you go.
And then, once you complete the tray, you cover it. Put it somewhere.
And there's your mini greenhouse.
And I'm gonna make one we can show you as well. Here, I'm gonna go ahead and we can show you the up pot in there. I'm gonna use the put it on in with my thumbs for the small one. A little
That
bit
works.
of getting
Hands
the
work. And it
I'll show
is
you
kind
the
of a
small
messy
one.
job, so you don't want to wear your best clothing when you're soil
Yep,
blocking.
yep. We are having fun with the soil here. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead there and we're gonna pack that in, same as the larger block.
And you can probably see why it's important to have a tray with a flat surface, because that basically is doing a lot of the work that this would do.
There we go. Okay. All right. I think we got those in there. And then we'll put these right next to the other ones here. And same motion, right? We're gonna kind of push down on here, push up with our fingers here as it releases those. And then we've got our mini blocks.
So cute. They're very cute.
Yep.
Do you want to do a big one so that we can put
Oh,
one
yeah.
in?
And then we'll put it in. Yep. Great.
I can actually carry this around if you want me to.
Yeah, and I think
When
you can see
let's
it
wait until
online
we're
as
done with the
well.
big-
Okay.
And great. And then if you want to tip that up, Susan, so that the folks online can see that maybe a little bit better in the camera between the.
We've got a falling block here.
Yep.
Can you guys see?
Great. Great. All right. And the good thing about this, if the block doesn't work, you just do it again. There's no.
It's forgiving.
Yes, it is completely forgiving. Okay, all right. So we'll move this one on over here. Okay. There, okay.
Beautiful.
So this
Yeah.
one is made with the bigger insert in the middle.
You can see that.
And you have to be careful of your back when you're doing this. Because if you're like this the whole time, it will hurt your back. So
And just to know, we have fresh soil here.
Oh,
We
wow.
have a friend, if anybody would like, we have a worm here. We have fresh
I'm glad
organic
you didn't get
compost. I'm glad you didn't get blocked either. I gotta keep him over here. Oh, yeah.
We'll put it out in the, yeah.
He is an
We'll put it in
active,
the garden.
perfect, perfect. Yeah, it's healthy soil.
Do you want to put one of those in the?
Yeah, and then, so here, right, if this has started to grow and germinate, then I'll just grab one from here. So of course, smaller, but then that just fits right on inside.
And of course,
There you
once
go.
your seedling has sprouted, it's gonna have some roots in there to hold that smaller block together also.
Okay.
Great, okay, let's see, do we have any questions online from folks?
Or any questions here?
Question, yeah, okay, yep.
With the smaller, if you're gonna use the smaller block, do you still need to use, can you just press the seed into the small block? And you have to use?
For the Zoom?
We can, yep. So the question was, if we're using the smaller seed blocker, do we just, how do we work in that seed? So this soil blocker has built into it, it's not those separate dibbles, but it does have a little bit of a raised area here that pushes in or makes a little bit of an indentation on the top. Certainly it is not as pronounced as the bigger one. So you could find that hole, put that seed in there. And you're probably using smaller seeds, like the lettuce seeds that we talked about, which are pretty tiny. So they're probably not going to need a bigger, a heavier depth that some of the bigger seeds might, that you're planting those in. Yep, but same thing, then just sprinkle right on top of it, just give it a little bit of a covering as appropriate, and then just wet it down.
You don't need much, but yeah, cover the seed.
You can
and
just
then
kind of
spray.
dust it like as
Yeah.
if you were gonna put powdered sugar on something.
Yeah.
Good
I like to cook,
analogy.
so all my analogies.
And Rich, if you want to show with the watering can for watering as well.
Sure.
So,
Well, this
Do
is.
you want to show it on that one or?
oh yeah,
Okay, so really what I would just do is, ideally, I just have a spout, and then I would have the spout so that it dribbled the water around the edges there. You, as I said earlier, you don't want to have the,
yeah, it's gonna whisk. It'll whisk
you'll
it up.
get a
in the
little,
paper.
so the bottom of this tray is ridged, and so what that does is it stores the extra water, it resets underneath, and then it just wicks up into your newspaper or your cardboard, and then the soil blocks will wick that up, and the seedlings roots will pick that up. So
So you're just using a little water, it's not gonna be sitting like.
Yeah,
Correct.
just
You're
a
not-
little
you
water,
don't-
and you
you
can
don't
even
want
do it
sand.
something like this, a small,
Mhm.
and maybe show on that one.
Because again, if we add too much water, we're gonna have mud. So there's kind of that fine line,
So
right?
I'm just gonna
right.
do this a little bit. I'm trying not to hit the soil blocks at all with the water.
Mhm.
And then the beauty of having a tray like this is you can then just do like that and distribute the water evenly too.
And I can show all the folks online too.
Oh, yeah, show the folks online. And, just watch your newspaper, and when it gets dry, that's your tip to water it.
So just like that, and then like this. There we go. Susan, Deborah, I have a question. You've worked with the warming mats.
Yeah.
Do you put those underneath these trays also
Yes.
before they germinate?
That's right. So that one that I have there is it's a 10 inches by 20 inches, which is pretty much the same size as this size of a tray. You can buy them in all different kinds of sizes. They have some that would span, the length of the table, or little squares. But I just put it right on, I have a shelf with lights on it at home that I use. And so the heat mat is on that shelf, and then those just go right on top of it. It's waterproof. This particular one that I have, then it stays at a constant temperature, I think about 72 degrees. But you have some that you can buy if you want to control the temperature more specifically, have a hotter temperature, you can turn it up or turn it down. This one, I just kind of plug it in and forget about it. And it just kind of stays at a constant temperature, never gets too hot. And what's nice about my little shelf where it ends up kind of warming everything in that shelf for me as well. So it's kind of a little mini heat source in there.
I'm sure it also humidifies
And then
your
humidifies, yes.
little mini greenhouse.
Yes.
But you don't necessarily need it. If you store these in a place that's out of the wind, that maybe gets some sun or another greenhouse, you don't really need that.
Nope. Yeah, and all of yours that you grow, you don't use them at all.
No,
So
You just kind of put them on a table.
and put a little greenhouse on it.
Where there's mottled light or filtered
Yeah.
light. Yeah, that's what I thought. She works at the Fair Garden Center in Redwood City.
I have a Zoom question.
Mhm.
Where is the tray with lid from?
So the tray with the lid.
Can I hear the question?
Sure. So the question was, where is the tray with the lid from? So in this case, Susan, maybe there was a particular source.
The person who runs the program in Redwood City ordered these online, so you can order them online. The lid, also, I believe she got online, but she and her husband actually covered it using saran wrap and duct tape. So pretty easy to do.
And you can get them if you're buying, if the garden center, if they have some they're throwing out or something like that, just grab, grab those trays. These are the ones on the end that we germinated in. Those are to-go container trays, and they have a lid on top of it. And so as they're germinating, then we just put that lid on top, which happens to be clear, and it's an instant greenhouse. So
And
there's
Deborah was nice enough to bring a whole bunch, so you can try out soil blocking and then bring some home. Those of you who are here.
You can poke holes in it if you have a little bit of an out to get some of that moisture. If not too in there, but you don't need to. And then you can kind of monitor it or put it a little bit outside so it's not completely sealed in there.
Is it premature if you put liquid fertilizer when you're starting these with your water or spritzing them, or should you wait till the plants?
We generally haven't used any kind of fertilizer
Repeat the question.
in the soil mix.
So if we could repeat the question first. So
The question was, is it okay to use liquid fertilizer when we're, I guess, irrigating the soil blocks, correct? And at least our experience is that we have not done that. The soil starting mix should have enough minerals and so forth to feed the plants as they grow. Yeah.
And as master gardeners, we try to use organic compost, and there is organic compost in here, and try to stay away from any non-organic fertilizer.
Chemical fertilizers. We try not to use.
Okay. Thank you.
Jeff, another master gardener.
It seems like using the small size blocker introduces a lot of complications. They dry out faster. You have to do a little transplant into the nubbin of the bigger one. Why? Why would you use that small one if you can just go to a larger size and not worry about it?
Or you can just put that directly into the ground as well. If you're ready to go, just put it in there, give it a good start, and you can also drop it directly into your garden. Could be another way to go. But you're correct. It is smaller. It is a little bit harder to handle. And if you are going to pot it anyway, then you might want to just start with that bigger one.
But they're very cute.
But they are very cute. And it gives you a lot of a way. Yeah. And there are some folks that just start, for example, like for microgreens or things like that. That I have tried that a couple times as well. So you just have a lot more little mini blocks, and you're kind of sprinkling your microgreen seeds, all around. If you might just be cutting them right off anyway when they get a couple leaves on there that you're going to eat or something like that. And then once, after those grow, you're done, just toss them back in and make some more later.
So the master gardeners also run the gardening education center at the San Mateo Events Center. And sometimes I've seen that they use the smaller blocks just because they're trying to do a large volume of planting. And so that's why they would do it. They start with the smaller blocks, and then they've got volunteer effort. It doesn't cost them anything. Labor is free.
But you don't need it.
Yeah, I think you had a question.
Yeah, transplanting. When do you know it's ready?
When do you know it's ready? So from a transplant perspective, the question is, when do you know it's ready? What we like to see, so the first set of leaves are called the cotyledons that come out and emerge. And then we would like to transplant that once you see the next set, which would be the first set of true leaves. And that's when it's kind of getting hardy enough and big enough, and then you can go ahead and transplant that in there.
So the leaves matter more than the roots? Or
you're gonna see, yeah, in that case, if the leaves are ready to go, then the roots down in there, you might not be able to see them just yet, but they're going to be ready to go as well.
It's kind of hard to see it on this one, but you can see the cotyledons are right here underneath, and then you've got your first set of real leaves coming out on top there.
It's because you might have used a bigger soil block where you can't really see the roots yet.
Yeah, there you go.
So for the smaller lettuce, it's gonna be tiny,
Mm-hmm.
so you might have those leaves, it might be ready to go to pot it or such, but in the bigger block, you won't be able to see those those roots yet.
But it's also the weather and, when it's nice and warm and there's no danger of frost and all of
Yeah,
that
and
too.
that's a big consideration too, is just not, you don't wanna just because the seedling is this big, doesn't mean that right now would be a good time to plant it, especially if you're in Florida these days.
Weather.
But yeah, so you have to consider several variables, and not just the size and the health of the plant, but also the growing conditions once you put it outside.
Any other questions? Yes.
Do you use this with wildflowers or?
Yeah, you could use it with wildflowers too. Wildflower seeds, yes.
Except for poppies.
Do you guys have wildflower seeds here?
Do we have any wildflower seeds? Did you bring some?
I believe we have one or two that are here. We will look through and see what we've got. Yep, I think we might have a couple flowers that are mixed in with those vegetables. Yep, can plant those later. All right, yeah.
How do you have to harden off once before you're ready to transplant?
So how do you
handle that with the soil blocks without drying out?
So what we do where I volunteer is we remove this. We might still keep them in the greenhouse and maybe open the flap of the greenhouse so they get a little bit more air, it's not as warm.
Oh, and repeat the question.
Oh,
I'm
sorry.
Yep.
So do we have to harden off the soil blocks before we plant them? Yes. It's a good idea to do that.
And yours, in your garden may have been outside a little bit more. So as you take the lid off, mine have been probably in a bit more of a controlled environment. So I do want to harden those off, have them be outside a little bit during the day, not as protected before they go full time outside.
And I know this is something that they do at the Fair Oaks Garden Center, is if you're planting a large tray like this, the seeds are not going to germinate at the same pace. So you may have a dozen that have germinated and they're ready to be uncovered, where you want to keep the rest of them covered with the top. You can just take those out, put them, the germinated ones, put them in a different tray, and then continue to use the original one to germinate the rest of them.
And it is important, that's a good point. It is important to plant the same type of seeds in one tray, because then they'll tend to germinate more at the same time. Yes.
Or can you use poppies for it?
Can we?
He said someone said, no, we can't do poppies.
I said no poppies because poppies have a taproot and they really dislike being transplanted.
Oh, okay.
But yeah.
So the question was, why can't you plant poppies? And you said because of the taproot?
Yeah, the taproot, and they don't like being transplanted. So it's best to sprinkle them like right before it rains, and then they'll grow in place.
And that's a lot easier.
Yep, and they're more permanent spots. Start them in their permanent spot if you can.
Any other questions? Who wants to soil block?
Yay. All right. Okay.
So we have a station here and a station in the other room.
Thanks for those online. Yep.
Yeah. I have to be on Zoom.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. I just need to finish up here. So thank you so much for this really nice interactive demonstration. So our next seminars are going to be on why you want to add a camellia plant to your landscape, which will be on March 1st. And then April 12th, we are visiting a regenerative farm in Woodside. Nice farm, and everything that is grown on that farm is donated. So do sign up. It's really nice. Then we have Master Gardener plant clinics on between March and April. Nursery plant sale opens on weekends.
Kevin, is it possible to go to the last slides that we didn't cover?
Yeah, sure. That's right. And just so you know, we have some of these in the arboretum if you want to take some.
Nice.
So the soil blockers, you can get those online. The references, this is where a lot of our our information came from. And can you go, there we go. You can sign up for the Master Gardener newsletters by scanning the QR code. And then if we want to go to the last slide, you can always ask a Master Gardener. We have a website and we've got phone lines that you can call with questions.
And we have a spring garden market coming up where we sell wonderful vegetables and native plants on, you know,
It'll be in April.
April.
Yep.
So sign up for the newsletter so you know when it is.
One
Yeah,
last question.
sure.
I've already been looking online before I came to this class and I seen there's so many. And they have this like 8 as well as 4.
Yes.
Is it
Right.
harder? I mean, strength wise?
Yeah, I think the more that,
better.
yes, so that's right. So there are kind of micro differences, right? Depending on, so some of them might have, you know, a different top or spring mechanism, depending on what you're purchasing. Yeah, some of them, if they are double rows, then just for each one, you're probably gonna need a little more muscle strength,
Okay.
getting that soil in there, and then, you know, pushing that out of the blocker, for sure. Yeah.
And we didn't really talk about, you can look online for soil blockers. We find that the ones made in England are the best quality. But we aren't saying where to get it. We can't.
Great.
Okay.
All right. Hey, thank you. Thanks for those online. Appreciate it.
Maybe we should bring this one over there too.